We can't, the hall is too full and this is a democratic festival, so it's okay. I don't have. Would you like to give her your chair? So please do. Vasu, please. Well, she doesn't, she's quite happy. She's part of a democratic gathering, so it's okay. I'm sorry, it's just that we look at this festival as a first come, first seated, and we're very clear that, you know, there's no VIPs and green rooms and reserved seating, so we're very grateful that she's come, but so is everybody else. Shuli, I'm going to start, so when Proshun comes, he can just fight his way through. Not just this year, but traditionally. And Sujata and we worked together for, I've forgotten how many years, but thank you very much, Sujata. A, for the support of British Council, B, for your presence here, and to our wonderful panel. Sujata.
Thank you, Sanjoy, and welcome to this session on the Queen's Hinglish. We have in our panel Mark Tully, Sir Mark Tully, or Tully Saab, as most of us like to call him in India. The voice of BBC, the second voice of BBC, a broadcaster still, a writer who knows India and the UK both equally well. We also have with us Prashun Joshi, who's just walked in, the ad guru of India. That's very little, but Prashun is actually a very good poet and lyricist. So, and a singer. So, although he is the top ad guy for India, his other virtues overtake his professional ones once in a while. We also have Ira Pandey, who has been a professor. She's taught in the university for several years. She has edited several books, translated several books. One of them particularly Manohar Shyam Joshi's Tata Professor. And she is currently the chief editor of books at IIC. So please welcome the panel with a big hand. And we propose to have a very free-flowing discussion on what's happening to English, Hinglish, Benglish, Pinglish, whatever you want to call it. Now, Mark, what's this badmashi going on with the English language?
Well, you know, I think badmash is a good example. It's a wonderful word. It's onomatic. Sorry.
Keep it closer.
Oh. Well, I think badmash is a wonderful example of this. It's a great onomatopoeic word. Somehow it's one of those words that you don't really have to know what it means to know what it means. I think the badmashi which is going on is perhaps with the Indian languages, actually, in a way. We heard this morning from Pawan Verma a very emotional and very well argued argument for Indian languages. But if India has to speak English, and I say if it has to speak English, well then I think it should speak English. Because after all, India is India, and Indian English should be Indian English. And if Americans can do what they've done to the British language, why shouldn't Indians do better?
Now, Ira, do you want to respond to this?
Let me begin by saying that
Get it closer.
I want to begin by saying that I agree absolutely with Mark that English is now an Indian language in a way that she was never expected to be maybe 2 centuries ago. But more than that, the great divide in this country now is not merely caste. It is language. It is those of us who can speak English and those of us who want to speak English. And that really constitutes the marker, the social marker, the cultural marker between India and Bharat, as far as a term which is very commonly now used. So to the category of the twice-born Hindu, you now have the thrice-born Hindu who also knows English. So that was the first point I wanted to make. The other I wanted to make was that English has become the language of aspiration, not just in our metros and in our large cities, but in little villages. In fact, a book which I just translated recently, which was written almost 30 years ago by a very famous Hindi writer, Manohar Shyam Joshi, Tata professor, is actually a brilliant spoof and a sort of tragicomic novel about a schoolmaster who fought for independent India, who was a nationalist, a Gandhian, who wore a Gandhi topi, and yet all the time in the village, that little school that he was teaching in the village, he used to walk around with the Oxford English Dictionary under his armpit and use it as a weapon to terrorize those who didn't know English. And he then, there's a beautiful episode where he has a fight with his rival there, and that dictionary falls into a gutter, a sewage gutter. And Tata professor is so appalled at this disrespect to the English dictionary that he sits on a satyagraha. So there is a delicious irony in our hating the idea of being a colonial state and yet admiring, this ambivalence we've never been able to resolve. And I think this is what we need to accept now, that we love the English language, but we may not like the English culture.
Ira, you say there are two kinds of Indians, one who know English and one who can't speak English that well. Prasoon, then, why is it that when you or the advertising industry in India makes their ads and a lot of Hindi films, which is reaching out to all of India, not just the two Indias, but all the Indias, why is it that you're using so much English? Is it understood?
See, first of all, let's see, there is a huge change in language. Language reflects our time, also reflects the mood of the society. I think the language we used to use earlier, for example, say Urdu, there was a languidness in that language. There was no urgency in the language. The society has huge amount of urgency today. You can't say, Janab, zara darwaza kholenge. Zara khol yaar zara.
And the urgency can be brought by English, is it?
Urgency is coming through many languages. I don't want to call it English actually, because I live in Bombay and there are so many Marathi language words which are mixed with Hindi and English. So there is a hybrid language which is emerging. It will not be right to call it English, because there are many languages which are
What
contributing.
would you call it then?
It's a language of today. It's language of communication today, which is emerging. And there is an urgency in this language. It is reflecting the mood of the society today. And a question which is often been asked, can things be created in this language? Can literature happen in this language? Can some other expressions, can it be used like the way Hindi, Urdu, English was used? I say early days. It can. It can be done. It is just the beginning. And we are right now using it because this is the kind of cross-fertilization which is happening. When you say, why do we use it in films? Why do we use it in advertising? Because it connects with people. Because it's a people's language. That's what they want to hear. They do not want to hear a language which they do not belong to or which do not sort of connect with them. It has to be their language. They're living in these urgent times. They're living in the time where various cultures are interacting with each other. They want to see that happening there. So there is a comfort there. The moment you become completely pure, like pure English, pure Hindi, khadi boli, they would not feel comfortable. They'll feel it's not our language, it's not what we speak. So that's the reason, because we want to connect with people, we use this language.